This is Jamie Singleton. It is 9:30 as I'm recording this, your map discussion for this Monday evening. And looking at a lot going on. If I'm not myself, I do apologize. Been a rough day. But we'll get through it. Looking at the weather, though, we've got a lot going on. And I want to talk to you about the possibility of getting some heavier rainfall, maybe even some potential flooding in here. In two different waves that may or may not be directly associated with Eta down here. Eta's our tropical storm, and you can see that down at the bottom of your picture here going through the Gulf of Mexico and just crossed Cuba. This was down across Central America not too long ago, and now it's emerging into the Gulf of Mexico. So where does it go? That's a big question, actually, from this point forward. We've also got a huge ridge to the north of Eta, and you've also got a lot of troughiness, a lot of energy here back across in the polar jet stream from the Pacific Northwest all the way down through Denver and going up to parts of southern Canada. You can see the battleground between the warm weather and the cold weather, some 4-inch snows in Colorado and some hail there and some thunderstorm activity across Kansas. So there's a lot to talk about there. Here is a closer look. Let me get rid of this. I'm in the home office tonight, so the picture is not going to look great. This is off of my Radar Omega software, and for what it is, Eta looks pretty organized right now. You got to remember this was a Category 4, Category 5 almost storm when it was down across Honduras, Central America. Winds were at 150 miles per hour prior to landfall down there near Nicaragua, but we now have just a weak tropical storm that looks like it's becoming more of a weak hurricane on the signature here. You can see the blossoming of convection right near the center, so it's more symmetrical. You can see some banding here going on around the system as well. I'll put this into motion. You can also see that blossoming of convection continuing. So that's what you would want to see if you want to see a healthy system. So it's mainly a Florida situation. Let's go here and look where it has its eyes. Pardon the pun. And I think I can show you. I go to 3D look here. So we'll tilt this 3D. And in doing that, you can see that it's mainly the Big Bend of Florida, in the west coast of Florida here, looking at, we got a weather station out there. That's pretty cool with Radar Omega. But mainly, I think from Mobile east is the time to watch this system. And that you've got plenty of time, too. This is going to sit here for several days. It's not going to be moving very far at all. And that's why I wonder if it even gets up into our area if you're watching locally around Virginia. Here's the National Hurricane Center track. Cuba's under a tropical storm watch at the moment. You can see the winds expand out some distance there. You see a bit orange, but the cone, whenever you see a cone that's really wide as opposed to a skinny cone means a fast-moving system. Like we have with Zeta. Now with Eta, we've got a very circular looking cone, and that's because there's not a lot of movement projected here between Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday. So by the weekend, this is still over the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico and south of the panhandle of Florida. So folks like Mobile, Panama City, Apalachicola, this may be an area that we want to watch, especially going into later parts of the weekend. From there, who knows? These are the latest computer projections, and they're all over the place. There's no real central area that's going to win, I think, over the other. It may just sit here and rain itself out, and let's look at why that may be the case. Get this lined up a little bit better. This is the European, the upper level support here that we're looking through, basically the steering currents of the atmosphere. And in Virginia, we've got this big ridge that will begin to move east as early as Tuesday afternoon. All right, so as that moves east, what's going to happen is underneath that, we're going to already see an increase in clouds across southwest Virginia because of the moisture. Your high at the surface is going to be down here, and your moisture is going to start to pull up against the mountains. To the west, we're going to see cold fronts start to gather a little more energy and a little more moisture as they move in. But notice at the bottom of your screen here, this is Eta. So none of this is affecting the storm at all. So you could almost put your hand over the storm and just kind of ignore it for right now. We're going to get a lot of rain, but it's just the moisture north of Eta in an indirect fashion that gives us the rainfall. And this is probably going to be, if you look at the upper map, it's hard to find rain there. But what happens in a situation like that, you're advecting warm air, you're advecting moisture, and that causes lift. So what you do is you look at a different model, you look at a different parameter here. This is off the GFS. This is looking at isentropic lifting. So if you take an air parcel in a warm environment and you push it into a cooler and drier environment, what will happen is that air parcel will follow the slope, the isentropes. And that is mainly something we look at in the wintertime. We can look at it this time of the year too, though. Anytime you're moving warm, moist air into air that's not as warm, basically this happens. Okay, a lot of times you see this with warm fronts, but a lot of times in La Nina events, you don't have a big low pressure system. You just simply have a little warm air advection that can create the lift, and that's what we're seeing here. This is also relative humidity outlined above 70% at the mid-levels of the atmosphere. So look as we go through time here. This is late Tuesday and the Wednesday. Our storm system is off to the west. The leading one is. You can see moisture here getting involved from the western Atlantic and also into the Gulf of Mexico. It's more of an Atlantic thing, in my opinion, if you follow the contours down. But that's going to lead to rain, just a general rain, I think, maybe heavy at times as we go into Wednesday. That's when we see maybe a embedded area of low pressure here. But again, Eta, the storm is still way down here. Okay, and so this is the drier air to the west. So we're in a ribbon of moisture from Tuesday into Wednesday and even into Thursday before things only slowly clear out. And some models are suggesting more waves of moisture coming up Thursday, even into Friday. There would be a break in that, and then by the weekend, this is where Eta could be south of Louisiana, according to the GFS. By that time, our second system out west may actually pull Eta into the overall flow, and we could then see direct moisture from Eta. But the first wave of rain that we're going to get coming up late Tuesday, Wednesday, into Thursday will not be associated with Eta. It would just be a moderate rainfall and a moderate risk of flooding for the area, as several inches are possible. But I think the second wave of rain, which could include Eta, that's coming up this weekend by Sunday or so into next Monday, that could have some potential flooding problems with it. So I think we need to watch that very carefully indeed. This is again the GFS model here. Let me give you a better viewpoint of what that looks like. All right, so this is this afternoon's run. You can see that one low pressure system here doesn't pick the storm up. Eta still stays in the Gulf and just sits there. This is already out toward Thursday night. It's still sitting here. So there's going to be some rip currents. You can bet some high surf and just an angry Gulf of Mexico, to put it bluntly, here for the next several days. So beware of that. If you're going to be in that area, that can sneak up on you even in a weak storm. The water does get churned up. What we have directly affecting us is this cold front that extends south of this low coming out of the Great Lakes. And again, that gets in here at some point Wednesday, but notice how the model is depicting some areas of rain in the southeast flow out ahead of that front as early as tomorrow for Tuesday. Then the really big area of rain gets on us here by the morning, early afternoon Wednesday, and then multiple waves of rain, probably in a lighter fashion into Thursday. That's because as the high builds in behind the first front, it's going to build into our north and keep low clouds and the wedge going and maybe some lighter rainfall. Any little disturbance that comes on in the jet stream, which will be going from west to east into the weekend could reintroduce rain. Notice the high tries to, it gets a little stronger, which will keep us drier going into Friday night into Saturday. But then by Saturday night, it weakens again as another wave ejects here, and this one could again connect us with that tropical moisture that I've been talking about here. We've also got more activity in the tropics. We've got Eta here, and believe it or not, we have a 90% chance of tropical cyclone formation well out into the Atlantic and moving east, so no threat to land, but just amazing hurricane season so far. And now a 50% chance of formation with a tropical wave over the Central Caribbean, so that's pretty active. Showing you some of the modeling here, and again, this is off the high-res Euro here, off of my Pivotal Weather account. And so it's starting now. This is going, let me back this up. Okay, this is valid for, I did a horrible job of queuing this up. Okay, we're on the 9th, so this is Tuesday. Now we're finally where we want to be. Okay, 1 a.m. Tuesday night going into Wednesday. Here are the light areas of rain that pop up in the Allegheny Highlands into the NRV. You've got some rain down across North Carolina. That's some light upslope stuff. By Wednesday, heavier rainfall ahead of our front in West Virginia. Also moderate to heavy rainfall on I-77 coming out of Statesville, North Carolina. That is Wednesday morning. Wednesday afternoon should be the heaviest of rainfall. Again, this is not Eta. This is a low pressure system with some tropical moisture pulled into it perhaps, but the storm's going to stay south, we think, for right now. But from Harrisonburg to Roanoke down to Greensboro, there'll be some heavier rainfall for the day on Wednesday. Not a good day to be traveling, and that goes out to Richmond and D.C. by Wednesday evening, followed by additional areas of rain Wednesday and the Wednesday night. You can see there wave of low pressure, another wave of low pressure moving in for Thursday morning. That'll keep the rain around before just a very gradual drying from top to bottom here. I think the bottom's going to remain pretty moist here. That means more low clouds, but maybe some drizzle, not as much in the heavier rainfall department by Friday. And then I mentioned that second storm moving in. That comes in for Saturday evening going into Sunday. And on this particular model run, it holds it into a brief period of rain coming through. It looks like Saturday night into Sunday, and with some showers behind that. So if you add all that up, it does add up to a heck of a lot of rainfall. This is just through Friday, up to 2 inches at Roanoke, 3.2 inches in Danville, 2 to 3 inches possible, but other areas in the NRV I could see getting less than 2 inches, maybe even less than an inch in some spots, depending on how fast the system moves. It appears to be a slowing down of the system once it gets here on Wednesday. Okay, so those two lows are going to basically stall it a bit, and then we get into the weekend with our second area of rain, which puts us for the week over 2 inches for Roanoke and up to 3.1 inches in Hickory and around Greensboro. This is how the GFS handles it, much the same here. As we go into Tuesday, again, it's light rain, just a few showers. Notice how the mountainous areas, the east slopes of the mountains, tend to get that moisture going. As the moisture can't run into the ground, it has to upslope there. Then as we go through Tuesday night and the Wednesday, your upslope component really does its thing here. So we may have prime upslope rainfall. The type of stuff that concerns me is when I see this, the radar may not look that impressive from a wide view, but you zoom into places like on Wednesday. Let's say you zoom into Patrick County or one of the North Carolina counties, Allegheny County or whatever, Wilkes County and the Franklin County. And these little showers that continue to develop because of the upslope can put down an additional 1 to 2 inches of rainfall where it may on a wider scale not look like much. So you have to look at the microphysics of some of this stuff, especially the elevation dependent stuff here coming up when you get an upslope event. Notice how the rain tallies up here big time on Wednesday, and it continues into Wednesday night with that second wave. I'm not quite buying the second wave, but if the second wave develops of low pressure, we would get close to 2 or 3 inches of rain possibly from that going into Thursday. And then coming up for the weekend, again, we'll have a couple of days to maybe dry out, but then we get a quick burst of some heavier rainfall, which could include Eta. So tropical rainfall we saw with Zeta can produce flooding issues even in under 6 hours, but this would put us at 4 inches in Lynchburg and over 3 to 3.5 inches, a good part of the Roanoke Valley area into Southside, and even over 4 inches in spots, but that would be over an extended time, basically through this weekend. So just stay prepared, stay weather aware. Here's how it looks on the simple charts. I'm going to go through here. This is Tuesday morning, tomorrow morning. Some clouds in the picture. There's the light rain I was telling you about. This is the upslope flow. You've got the storm down here at the bottom of your page. We've got snow in the Pacific Northwest. That's going to be our weekend system. This low here in Kansas City near Wichita is going to be our rainmaker for Wednesday. Notice how fast it scoots east by Wednesday. Even some thunderstorm activity possible there where you see the red shaded areas. And a little bit of a trough here extending north of our tropical system Eta. That's the Weather Prediction Center hinting at a tropical air mass being brought northward as this front crosses the area. But it's not enough to pick the storm up. It's just enough to pick up some of the air that's holding all that water. And that can lead to some efficient rainfall rates, and unfortunately that means heavy rainfall. So by Wednesday night, there's one area of low pressure that's going to enhance the rainfall over our area. Then by Thursday morning, the fronts are right on top of us, and this is where the models bring another low pressure system through Thursday night. WPC does as well, but they hold the moisture off a little farther to the south. That makes more sense to me because the upper air pattern is a little more progressive. But some areas could see additional rainfall Thursday night into early Friday. That'll be something to watch. Saturday and Sunday, not much clearing. We get some in there, and again by Sunday and the Monday, here comes that system that was in the Pacific Northwest coming through and maybe tapping their Eta at the bottom of your screen. We could have the direct tropical connection there, and notice another storm system here in the Pacific Northwest as we enter early next week for November the 16th. So La Nina doesn't always mean boring weather here in the east. It can mean quite a few things, especially with the tropics still active out there.